A year ago, in March of 2024, Pew Research found just about a quarter of U.S. adults had used ChatGPT. By November of 2024, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said the company was up to 300 million users per week. But OpenAI has competition. Google, Anthropic, and X all have their own generative AI chatbots. Sabrina Ortiz, ZDNET AI reporter, tested them all and joins me now in studio to break down what she found. Great to have you here with us in studio. So first, let's start with OpenAI, perhaps the chat daddy of them all, if you will. With this particular chatbot, what have you found, and ultimately, what's the takeaway?
Yeah, so like you said, OpenAI is dominating the space. It's the name that most people are familiar with. Most households, I think, they hear AI chatbots almost synonymous with ChatGPT, and that's for good reason. It is a very, very capable chatbot, and even in its free tier, it has robust offerings where anybody that's a casual user or just interested in experimenting with the chatbot could get a lot of really powerful tools. So it is still a chatbot dominating the market, and it is a great option.
Okay, and so what we've often talked about is the fact that these chatbots could replace search, and the name that is synonymous with search is Google, so much so that it's essentially a verb at this point. So they have their own chatbot, Google Gemini. What have you found there?
Yeah, so when Google first entered the space, it was a bit of a dark horse, right? It started with Google Bard, and Google Bard was a bit of a flop. It didn't quite meet those expectations, but then it quickly pivoted, it rebranded, and then it launched Gemini. Gemini is actually a very, very capable tool, and like you said, Google's synonymous with search engine. So they have a unique position in that when people are Googling, they will, I'm sure you're familiar, you make a search and you see an AI overview. That's powered by Gemini. So not only is it a capable tool, but it's also able to reach people really easily through products like Google Search, right, or in Samsung Galaxy phones, or on Google Pixel phones, or even tools like Google Meet, which a lot of people already have in their workflows. So not only is it a great chatbot, but it's also really easily accessible by people, which I think makes them a very, very competitive chatbot in the market.
Also proves that maybe getting the name right is key to this as well here, because we weren't buying Bard for a little bit, but Gemini, we can start to get around that a little bit more. Also, speaking of names, Claude, we got to talk about this one. This one's from Anthropic.
Yes. Also a really great option. And what makes them unique is that a lot of people, when they hear chatbots and they hear AI, they're hesitant. And because of security and privacy concerns, particularly because you're inputting your data, right? So if you are using it in your workflow, you might be using some sensitive business data. Or even if you're using it for your own personal documents, you might not want that information then used to further train the model. So what Anthropic did from the beginning is they said, we are not going to train our models on your input data. So this really helped build, trust of consumers. And I think that's where that appeal is. So you'll hear a lot of people are gravitating towards Claude, also a great option in terms of performance, but also that unique appeal is really what's drawing, I think, people, and it's unique competitive edge there too.
Okay, got to hustle to my finish here. We got a few more, a couple. Grok 3
yes,
from Elon Musk's X. What do we know about this one?
Yeah, so Grok 3 actually just launched on Monday, and it's much more powerful than both of its predecessing models, and it is actually super, super competitive. Upon launch, usually what these companies do is that they release the benchmark results, comparing it to the other leading market models, and the benchmark results show that it's actually blowing competitors, including Google, including OpenAI, out of the water. And most interestingly to me is in the chatbot arena, which is this crowdsourced platform where everybody, like from the public, can chat with two different chatbots, not knowing the name to them, and then vote. Grok, an early version of Grok 3, was put on that chatbot arena, and people voted. It was under the codename Chocolate, not knowing. So it's not like, oh, there was a bias knowing it was, XAI or Grok or anything, and people were voting, and it actually went all the way up to the top of the leaderboard.
Wow.
So yeah, it is showing a lot of promise. I haven't gone hands on it myself because it just launched, but actually yesterday announced that it is rolling out to free users. So if free users want to try it out and see what the hype is about, they can.
Okay, all right. Lastly, before we let you go, we got to know, what was the prize-winning bot right now?
I know that this might seem a bit predictable, but I'm still going to give it to OpenAI's ChatGPT. Okay. Again, just because in that free tier, it has so many offerings that I think everybody could take advantage of. And also, it's developing so many models so quickly, and perhaps I think the quickest, and it's setting the pace for the rest of the market. So if you want to be ahead of the curve and on track with all the cutting edge technology, I think that's a great option.
Sabrina, thanks so much for taking the time here with us in the studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it.